Number 5, I think my taste in music has improved a lot over the years, and that a lot of that is because of my wife. She introduces me to all the good music and has made my music taste a little bit cooler. And so I wanted to pick a song that she introduced me to. And before I tell you this next song, here's where I want to give like a warning or a piece of advice to listeners, because I imagine as we say a lot of these, people will look them up, and the most likely place they'll look them up is YouTube. And if they do that, they're going to also see the music video at the same time as the song. And I think seeing a music video can really affect the way you hear the song, and sometimes not for the better. And there are a couple of songs coming up, this one and another one later, where I think if you see the music video, it will influence the way you think of the song, not necessarily in a positive way. So my advice is listen to the song first, whether it's with the video shut down or from another source like Spotify or iTunes or wherever you get your music. And if you want to go and look at the video later, that's cool, because they're cool videos and they were videos chosen by the artists. But I do recommend consuming the song for the first time without the video, because the video can be very distracting and very influential.
Disclaimer over.
That said, the next song I want to recommend again is one for the Tims, because it's actually set, if a song can be set, I guess it's kind of set during a plane crash.
Okay.
So although the song is set during a plane crash, and it kind of is about the plane crash, it's not really about the plane crash, and the only way you can understand what I mean is to listen to the song. But the song is called At the Bottom of Everything by a band called Bright Eyes, and it's just a sort of a song about life and reflecting on life, and it happens to be set as this plane is plunging towards the ocean. But it's actually a very upbeat and jaunty song. And if you don't believe me, check it out. At the Bottom of Everything by Bright Eyes. Genius song, written by a genius performer. I think you may well like it. And it's got a plane crash, so I'm just keeping things going for Hello Internet.
Okay.
Number 5 for Gray.
Number 5 for Gray. Now, at this point, before we started recording this, I had literally nothing, because I was following what I thought were the rules of this thing, which is songs that you really like that you would want to take with you on a desert island to listen to for the rest of your life. I don't use music that way, and so I had no more answers. But you said I have to come up with stuff, and then seemingly just change the rules so that it is now songs about which I can mention almost anything. And so I was busy looking through my iTunes library, trying to think of songs that I have any association with whatsoever at all.
All right.
And now I have one to match what you just said there. You had a song that was introduced to you by your wife.
Yep.
I have a nice symmetry. I have a song that was introduced to me by my wife, which is a song called How It Ends by Devotchka. Devotchka. I have no idea. Whatever. This was a song that my wife sent along to me as part of a road trip playlist.
Yeah.
When on one of our road trips a long time ago, I was driving from New York to meet her in Seattle at that point in time, and she gave me a bunch of songs that she thought I might enjoy on a road trip. And this is one I really liked. It's a kind of sad but epic sounding song, and I played it a lot when I was driving across the endless cornfields. And I think something about this song in my mind has an experience and an association with being really isolated in a place, but being sort of okay with that, as you are when you're doing a big American road trip.
Yeah.
And so I think thematically that might fit on a desert island, just all on your own in the middle of nowhere. This is a song that I would have go along with that.
Look at you. The first slot where you thought you had nothing for, and you come up with the most poetic and appropriate one of them all for the.
Yes, but I picked that literally seconds ago as you were saying, oh, I have a song that my wife introduced me to, and I was like, I have a single song I can think of that's like that. Perfect.
I like it. So you're changing your list on the fly.
I'm changing it on the fly because everything I have selected on from this point means nothing to me. So I can change it at the last second.
Yeah.
And I'm totally fine with that.
All right, well, here comes my number 6. Let's see if I inspire another last-minute change at your end.
Okay.
I do love movies, and I really love movie score. So I wanted to have one song or piece of score from a movie. And if there are a few options, I mean, obviously a lot of John Williams stuff is an obvious one. I particularly like Jurassic Park and used to listen to that quite a lot. And I also like a lot of stuff by Danny Elfman, particularly Edward Scissorhands, some of the music from that film. But in the end, I decided I wanted to go for something from Hans Zimmer, who I really like, and who's done lots of great music from lots of films. I love all his stuff in The Lion King. I really like the music he wrote for the Da Vinci Code, whatever you think of that film, Gladiator. But the one I've chosen, for a few reasons, is the theme song from the film True Romance, which I believe its proper name is You're So Cool. And I've chosen this because I really like the music, but also I used that piece of music on sort of a breakthrough type piece I did when I worked for the BBC. When I first became a video journalist and was sort of trying to make my mark in the newsroom for doing different and creative things, I did a particular film that needed to be set to music, and I chose this piece of music from True Romance, and and I showed the bosses at work. And they were really blown away and thought it was really cool and really creative, and it sort of got people paying attention to me and helped sort of further my career, because I got a reputation as someone who should be allowed to do things a bit differently, and that sort of sent me off on the path I went down. So I associate this particular piece of video, and therefore this piece of music, with that time in my career. So not only is it a piece of music I love from a film I really like, but it also has a special place in my life.
Okay, believe it or not, I do have something thematically that goes along with this, and I'm not changing the list on the fly. This was something that was originally there.
Okay.
I have a music from a movie selection as well. It's Michael Nyman. There's one song which is called The Promise. And the Promise is one that I really like. It sounds very powerful, and I think that's just a beautiful piece of music to take with me on a desert island. Something piano now. It's different from all of the rest. You have to think of variety for what you're going to listen to for the rest of your life. So that's one that I'm going to take.
Number 7. It's the one that's top of my current rotation, and again I thought I'd keep it Hello Internet-y for the Tims, and I'm going to go for public service broadcasting, because I also think it's cool to have picked a song that's performed by someone like I actually know. And I'm going to go for The Other Side, which is my favourite track on their album, The Race for Space, which I may point out I have sitting on my mantelpiece at the moment, and I have a vinyl copy of it signed by J. Will Goose Esquire from the band. So it was actually obtaining this that really got me thinking more about our vinyl episode. The Other Side is especially appropriate because it's really what got us thinking about this episode you're listening to now.
Which song is that? What's the theme for what's going on in that one?
It's the one from Apollo 8 where they are approaching the moon, and then they go around the far side of the moon and lose radio communication, and there's the wait for them to pop out from around the other side.
Our distance away from the moon now, 401 nautical miles. Velocity reading 7535 as we continue with this flight of Apollo 8.
Okay. All right. Good choice.
It's my favourite on the album. An album full of good songs. And I very nearly could have replaced that with a song that's not on that album called Everest, which is a song they did about Mount Everest, which is also fantastic. And it's often what they close their shows with. So if you've listened to The Other Side and you've listened to all of The Race for Space, which it seems a lot of Tims have since you and I spoke about it, you can check out some of their other music, including the song Everest.
You should definitely do that. It is a incredibly creative album. Okay, right. So in part of my preparation for this, as I'm trying to find music that I have any connection with at all, I spent an afternoon kind of listening to a bunch of playlists for music when I was in high school time, because I'm trying to think like, oh, maybe I'll hit upon something that has some kind of connection to me. And mostly that experience was listening to songs where I felt like, oh yeah, someone used to listen to this music, but that person is not me. And I was just kind of skipping through the music. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember this song. Skip. Couldn't make it through any of them. But so for my arbitrary selection of music at this point, I am going to pick the only song that I listened to all the way through from my past when I was in high school, which was Smashing Pumpkins' 1979 off of the album Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness.
Shakedown 1979.
And it's actually quite a happy song. I feel like I have memories of listening to that song shortly after I learned how to drive, and just like driving around a lot, and that kind of feeling of being a person who is now mobile in the world as opposed to being trapped in the nightmarish sameness of suburbia all the time. And that feels like a great little memory of a time when I learned how to be more mobile, and it's just like a fun driving around song that I really like. So I'm gonna pick that one as the next to take with me on the desert island.
Nice one. I wasn't expecting Smashing Pumpkins, Gray. It's awesome.
Oh, you recognize this one?
Yeah, I know them. Yeah, of course.
Okay, I don't know. I have no idea. I have no idea what you're gonna know or what you're gonna not know. I don't know what kind of music they had over there in Australia when you were growing up. If they could ship stuff over on the boat or whatever.
So my final pick, I guess lots of people in relationships and couples have a song or songs, and I think there are lots of songs that my wife and I both like, but if we do have a song, it will be this one. And again, this is one where I really suggest listening to it before watching the sort of eccentric music video, because that changes sort of the way you see it a bit. But it's a nice love song, and the song is called Made Up Love Song number 43 by the Guillemots.
I love you through sparks and shining dragon's eye too. Now there's poetry in an empty Coke can.
Oh, I know this. Why did you pick that one?
Because it's our song. It's like our song.
It's 100% your song?
Well,
I mean, for you as a couple. I don't mean like you created the song.
no, yeah, us as a
I mean, like
couple.
you as a couple, you have an official song. This is officially your song.
Yeah, it was part of our wedding and everything, and yeah.
The best things come from nowhere. I can't believe you
Oh yeah, I know this one. Aw, look at you. You're such a romantic, Brady.
It's also just a top song. My wife's got good taste in music, and she put me onto this song, obviously, like most of the good songs I like. My wife even put me onto public service broadcasting, who make the moon music, and she put me onto this one, and we both really love it, and so there you go.
So when you're on that desert island, you'll be able to forever think about your wife somewhere else in the world living without you. All right, Brady, my final pick. I know that you're going to know this song because I found this song through you.
Oh, wow.
The song is The Show Starts Now by Cloud Cult.
Great song.
It is a great song. It's a fantastic song, and I feel like I have quite the emotional response to this song.
That means our show starts now. Our show starts now.
I came across it first in, for me personally, my favorite thing you have ever done, which was editing together the introduction video for the Random Acts of Intelligence show, which featured the 5 guys of us who were doing a presentation on stage, you, me, Destin, Derek, and Henry. And you used this song as the musical start, cutting together a whole bunch of our clips of our videos. And I think it's just beautiful and fantastic.
Show starts now.
And I still have a copy of that saved on my computer that every once in a while I remember and I watch and I think, this is just amazing. And it was also connected to a fantastic memory of a unique point in time. And so I think if I was on a desert island all by myself, I might want to think back to that and listen to The Show Starts Now.
Nice choice, Gray. I tell you what, that's another doff of the cap to my wife, because I remember we were driving along here in Bristol, and she once said, "You've got to hear this song. I think you would really like it, and you should edit a video to it," because it mentions scientists and stuff like that. And I remember she played it to me in the car, and I have a real affinity for music that in my head I can imagine editing videos to. There are certain songs that just lend themselves to editing.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember playing it, and she played it to me, and I thought, wow, that would make an awesome video one day. And I would listen to it. I must have listened to it 100 times, just thinking, oh, I just need one day to find the right thing to edit to for this. And then when we did that show, and I kind of volunteered myself to make the opening video, I thought, finally. And what perfect way to start a show than a song called The Show Starts Now. And so that's a doff of the cap to my wife, who knows all the cool music. And you and I don't.
Nope, not
We
at
just
all.
scratch around, waiting to see what scraps she throws us.
So there we go. We got through the music section now.
I think, Gray, you did really well. And I would go so far as to say, maybe I'm a bit biased because it started to veer towards things I knew.
Right.
But I enjoyed the second four more than the first four. So I'm glad I bullied you into that.
Yes, well, I'm playing along to the best of my abilities, Brady.
The other Desert Island Discs traditions are firstly to choose a book to take with you, and this is where they have like a disclaimer, and they say you can automatically have the Bible or the religious text of your choice, and you can automatically have the complete works of Shakespeare,
right?
Because I think every man, woman, and their dog was choosing those.
Yeah, that and the Shakespeare stuff in particular, they must have that rule in there to be like, oh, come on, people just want to be like, oh, of course I would take the collected works of Shakespeare, right? It's like,
but seriously, what person in their right mind would really take Shakespeare? That's boring as hell, that stuff.
That's exactly it. That's why it's like the pompous answer, right? Where you just want other people to think you're fantastic. I will firmly believe forever until my dying day, nobody actually likes Shakespeare. People just pretend to like Shakespeare because they think it impresses other people.
I'm not going to disagree with that.
Yeah, because it's right.
Yeah.
Okay, so aside from Shakespeare, Brady, what book would you take on the island?
Well, by the way, can I recommend, if you go to the Wikipedia pages for Desert Island Discs and all the sub-pages, they have lists of all the guests who've ever been on, and you can look at all their book and item selections, and it makes for really interesting reading. So do go and have a look at it. Lots of people on there choose two things I would choose but won't choose, and they are an encyclopedia or an atlas, and I would be tempted by both of those, but I don't think that answer is within the spirit of the question. So what I've decided to take is actually sort of a compilation or a collected works, because this must exist somewhere, and on the show people are always allowed to take collected works. So I'm going to take a book series with me, and that book series is the Foundation series by Isaac Asimov. Because it's one of the few book series I read again like more than one time and always enjoy. It's got like an epic scope across centuries, it's got good personal stories, but it also seems to be wrote on this galactic scale that appeals to me, and I just enjoy them. They get a little bit ropey towards the end, but I still enjoy even the later ones, and the first ones are just cracking books. So I'm going to take the Foundation series by Isaac Asimov, which coincidentally my microphone is perched on a few of those books at the moment to give it a little bit of extra height, so how appropriate.
Nice. So I know you're going to think that this is not in the spirit of the question, but I think it is in the spirit of the question.
Yeah.
I would take a survival guide for whatever island I am on. Because if there's anything that I have learned from watching shows like Naked and Afraid, where people have to survive in the wilderness, it's that the very, very local area where that you are in changes things quite dramatically. So I would want to take along a survival guide for the island that I'm on or the area that I am in. And I know you'll think this is against the spirit of the question, but I feel like what more interesting and important reading material could a person possibly bring than knowledge about all of the local flora and fauna and how to stay alive on that island? So I would take a survival guide with me.
I don't think that's against the spirit of the question. In fact, I think some people usually give that answer, and I probably too would give that answer, except that I'm hard as nails and I'm not particularly worried about survival.
except that you're sort of pretending that this isn't really a survival life or death scenario. This is what in everybody's mind is some kind of like fantasy island where they just sit around all day and drink coconut juice and listen to their music and read Shakespeare all day long. Right? That's what people are imagining this island is.
While a Maldivian waiter whisks down to the wine cellar to get you a nice red.
Exactly. Yeah, so it's like it's a desert island in heaven is, I imagine, how most people are really thinking about this question. Not like a desert island on the actual face of the earth.
Yeah. Well, for luxury item then, I've sort of done a compromise between the two of useful for survival and a little bit of a recreational component, and I think I've come up with a good one for this.
Mm-hmm.
Now, initially I was thinking like Swiss Army knife or my Leatherman or something like that, because I like
Mm-hmm.
I like knives anyway, and they're pretty useful. I also gave serious consideration to the Omega Speedmaster, just because keeping time would be half useful, but also the real reason was I would think it would just make me happy having like something that I think is beautiful and important to me with me. Like I think it would just be good for my morale.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I did give consideration to that, but in the end, depending on how generous you're going to be, and seeing I'm kind of the boss, that's my decision anyway, I'm going to take a snorkeling kit.
Oh.
A snorkel and fins, but most importantly, a mask. Because I think boredom would be a big problem for me, and I can while away many, many hours and days and months happily snorkeling above a reef, just looking at what's going on under the sea. But I also think that would have some practical use too, probably, as I fend for my survival. So I'm going for a snorkeling set.
I think that's an excellent choice. That's an excellent choice there, Brady. I like it. It's
Thank
like
you.
recreation and survival. Top choice. Absolute top choice.
Thank you.
Very good. Very
Thank
good.
you. Hopefully there's like calm seas and a nice reef around this island, and it's not.
Right. Not the Cape of Good Hope or something.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you?
Well, I too have a solution to the inevitable boredom that would arise. And my luxury item, no doubt, no question at all, would be cyanide pills to bring with me. Like, I'm deadly serious about this.
Yeah.
Because what greater luxury could you possibly have on your own on a desert island than the ability to choose the time and method by which you leave that desert island? I think people don't think this through. They're thinking of their desert island in heaven. They're not thinking about what happens when you cut open your foot on that coral reef that you're walking around and the infection is slowly building its way up your leg and you're just going to be eaten alive by bacteria and there's no way around this. And what are you going to do? Are you going to die like a dog in the sun, or are you going to die like a human being making your own decision about it and when it happens? I choose the latter. That is luxury.